Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of a horror slasher films from 2022, titled Terrifier 2. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. This movie is a sequel to Terrifier from 2016. If you haven't seen it yet, you can do so by clicking the link in the description. The film opens with an injured coroner crawling across the floor, after a brutal attack by Art the Clown. He reaches for the phone to call 911, while Art nonchalantly looks himself in the mirror, and writes his name in his own blood. He then reaches for a reflex hammer to finish him off. He smashes his skull and tearing it open to take out his internal organs, including his brain and eyes just because he can. Afterwards, he heads to a laundromat in his bloody glory, unbeknownst to the sleeping employee. Art undresses and tosses his costume inside the washing machine. The clown reads the newspaper to pass time, right when he comes across a little girl with clown makeup. She curiously walks up to Art, and starts playing with him. When the employee wakes up, he sees Art playing with thin air, making us question if the little girl is only a figment of his imagination. A while after, we see Art leaving the laundromat, after having killed the employee by impaling a mop handle through his head. We then skip to a year later, to a girl named Sienna Shaw in her candle-decorated bedroom. She's focused on finishing her homemade warrior Halloween costume, which includes a pair of wings, and a sword. The costume means a great deal to her, as it was designed by her late father, who recently passed away from a brain tumor. During dinner with her family, Sienna's mom, Barbara, asks her brother, Jonathan, what he's dressing up as for Halloween. Jonathan says he'd like to dress up as the infamous clown serial killer from the news, surging the protest of her sister and her mother. After dinner, Sienna talks to her mother about her brother's fascination with serial killers, while upstairs, Jonathan is researching the previous year's killing incident involving Art the Clown. Later that night, Sienna dreams about being in a clown cafe, where she encounters Art the Clown there. He begins entertaining everyone there by handing out candies, but Sienna appears uncomfortable from the get-go. When it's Sienna's turn, Art hands her a gift of a soup containing a very disgusting beating heart and worms inside. The box then starts filling up with blood, while Art finally drops the charade by taking out a submachine gun and killing everyone. Despite this, Sienna survives and tries to run away. The clown burns the remaining guests and the guitarist with a flamethrower. After Art torches the place with a flamethrower, he walks up to Sienna to finish her off. As the clown is about to burn her, Sienna takes out the warrior's blade displayed in her room to shield herself. All of the sudden, she awakes to find the wings for her costume burning. She tries to put out the fire to no avail, so she rushes out of the room to call her mother. Barbara then comes in with a fire extinguisher. The mother is understandably upset, and starts scolding her for keeping her candles lit when she went to bed. Sienna, however, swears she already put the candles out. After her mother leaves, she walks up to what's left of her wings, and finds that the sword her father gave her is left unscathed. Meanwhile, on the other side of the story, Art the Clown and the little clown girl is watching a talk show interviewing Vicky, the sole survivor from the first movie whose face is now heavily disfigured. After Vicky claims that she watched Art kill himself, the clown gets up and smashes the TV. The next day at school, Sienna's brother Jonathan is at class when he raises his hand to go to the restroom. On his way to the bathroom, he instead stumbles upon Art the Clown and the little girl, toying with a disemboweled dead possum. Once they see Jonathan, they throw the dead possum at him. Terrified, Jonathan runs until he comes across a teacher, who decides to check out the scene, only to find the dead possum there. While this is going on, Sienna and her high school friends are engrossed in a conversation about how Art the Clown's survivor, Vicky, maimed the talk show host with her bare hands right after the live interview. Back to Jonathan, Barbara the mom gets visibly upset to learn that he's gotten suspended from school, because the teacher thinks it was Jonathan who brought the dead possum. After school, Sienna and her friend Allie head to a costume shop to purchase a new pair of wings. While Sienna is busy browsing, Allie bumps into Art the Clown, but doesn't take a second glance, as she assumes it's only a person dressed up as him. Not long after, Sienna sees Art in the shop too, staring and smiling at her. This scares her, so she rushes to the cashier to pay, only to realize that she's left her bag downstairs. But then, Art drops her bag on the table, shocking her. The clown proceeds to hang around, while making silly gestures behind her. As the shopkeeper goes to get the bag, Art approaches and starts poking her, which of course makes the girl feel uncomfortable. Seeing this, the shopkeeper finally scolds him, and Sienna doesn't want to stay any longer, so she gets the hell out of there immediately. After she leaves, Art closes the shop and locks the door. He walks up to the shopkeeper while carrying a huge bag. As he prepares to pay for his purchase, he takes out a series of tools from his bag, which irritates the shopkeeper and makes him scold Art. Without saying anything, Art smashes a bottle to his head and stabs the sharp end into the poor man's eye. He then violently decapitates the shop vendor. Soon after, a mother and son see Art carrying the shopkeeper's head, and the son voices his excitement over seeing such realistic Halloween decor. Sienna manages to get back home safely, and is greeted by her brother, who tells her that he saw the clown at school, along with a little girl whose face he's seen in their dad's sketchbook before. He begins showing his sister the pages, one of which eerily contains a sketch of Art the clown, and other murder victims from the previous year. At the very last page, he shows her a sketch featuring Sienna in the warrior costume, holding a beast's head in her hand. Jonathan insists these old drawings must be symbolic, as their dad gave Sienna a warrior's sword for a reason. But it is too soon for her to believe him. They get interrupted by Barbara the mom, who informs Sienna that Jonathan has been suspended for bringing a dead possum to school. Sienna shows her disappointment in her brother, and just before she leaves the room, he begs for her to stay at home this Halloween night, because he fears something bad might happen, but Sienna refuses to listen. On the other side of town, Art pays a visit to Allie's house, and she happily greets him, as she recognizes him as the guy she met at the costume shop. Assuming he's old enough for trick-or-treating, she tells him she doesn't have anything to give before shutting the door. But he starts banging on it, upsetting Allie. She reopens the door and throws some candy into his bag, and immediately notices the bloody tools in it. Scared, she retreats inside, and watches as Art goes away. A few hours later, Allie is putting on makeup to get ready for Halloween, until she gets interrupted by the sound of glass breaking. She goes downstairs to find her glass door broken, and to her surprise, she sees Art casually hanging in the kitchen. This terrifies her, so she begins to run while Art chases her. Unfortunately, the psycho manages to catch her, and cuts her face with a knife before brutally skinning and mutilating her body with different sets of knives and scissors. Afterwards, he pours bleach and salt over her exposed flesh, before ripping the skin off the poor girl's face. Downstairs, Allie's mom comes home from work, and panics when she finds the broken door. She then heads straight to Allie's room, and finds the traumatizing sight of Art and what's left of her daughter's mutilated body. The next scene shows Art opening the door to Allie's house, and presenting trick-or-treaters with candy served on top of Allie's mother's head. Some of them even complain about it being sticky. On the other side of town, Sienna is attending a Halloween party with her other friend Brooke, and wonders where Allie is, but Brooke simply tells her to enjoy the party. Meanwhile, back in the house, Jonathan decides to warn his mom about his dad's symbolic sketches, but she's had enough of his morbid fascination, and tears the book up in anger, upsetting Jonathan. He curses at her, which earns him a slap from his mother, so he decides to storm off. Not long after, Barbara hears some commotion downstairs. She then heads down to find the family's car vandalized, immediately thinking Jonathan's behind this. But of course Jonathan didn't do it, because he's actually out in the driveway, where he finds a strange car in front of the house with the clown girl inside, so he retreats inside the house out of fear. Back at the party, Brooke sneakily informs Sienna that she's laced her drink with Molly. Soon after, Sienna receives a phone call from her mother, who immediately starts ranting about how Jonathan's covered the car in shaving cream, toilet paper and eggs. After the call ends, the mother begins cleaning up the car, during which she discovers Art sitting inside. He shoots her face off with a shotgun, instantly killing her. At the party, Sienna discovers the little clown girl in the crowd, which freaks her out and sends her spiraling in a panic attack. But oddly enough, she seems to be the only one at the party who's able to see the little girl. Back home, Jonathan is welcomed with a sight of her dead mother seated at the dining table. Art the clown then swoops in, and serves mashed potato on her empty plate, followed by stuffing the rest of the mashed potato into her crater of a face. Jonathan tries to run, but is stopped by the clown girl. He manages to slip past the murderous duo, and heads upstairs to reach for Sienna's sword. But unfortunately, Art apprehends him and injects him with a needle to sedate him. He then picks up the sword, and decides to take it with him. As this is going on, Brooke and her boyfriend, Jeff, are giving Sienna a ride home. But then, Sienna receives a call from Jonathan saying that he's at the abandoned carnival. But in reality, it is actually the clown girl mimicking Jonathan's voice.
I don't know what else to do. I can't call mommy.
Worried for her brother's safety, Sienna asks Jeff to drop her off at said place, and she heads out despite Brooke's warnings. Jeff suggests that they probably should go help Sienna look for her brother, but Brooke objects, as she thinks Sienna's brother has been acting weird ever since his dad died. She also adds that the dad suffered from a brain tumor which made him schizophrenic. Sienna begins to explore the place, and gets a text from Jonathan saying that he's at the Terrifier, the carnival's haunted house. Inside the Terrifier, Jonathan wakes up to the view of the clown girl whose entire face has now been mutilated. Pun intended, this terrifies him, so he runs for his life. Meanwhile, Jeff heads outside to take a piss, when Art suddenly shows up and stabs him. He then breaks the car's window and drags Brooke out, but she fights back and scrambles away. She enters the haunted house to hide, while calling Sienna for help. As she continues running, she trips and falls into the bathroom, where Art manages to find and corner her. He then beats her with a spiked bat and finishes her off. Not long after, Sienna walks into the room and finds Brooke's dead body, with Art standing nearby. As the two lock eyes, Sienna sees Jonathan behind Art, and yells for him to run while grabbing a piece of wood and hitting him. Despite this, the clown still manages to overpower her and beat her up, before walking away to find Jonathan. Still alive, Sienna gets up and finds Art's weapon lying nearby. Meanwhile, Art the clown teases Jonathan wherever he tries to run, until he finally grabs him and slashes his cheek. Fortunately, Sienna interrupts him by attacking from behind, injuring the clown with his own weapon. She takes her brother away with her. But as she is injured, she's forced to stop. While she catches her breath, Jonathan apologizes, as he's convinced the clowns only took him here to lure Sienna, and that all this has to do with their dad's sword. The two then resume on their way out, but Art ambushes them and starts attacking Jonathan. Sienna comes to her brother's rescue. But Art throws her aside and beats the boy again. The girl doesn't give up, she crawls across the floor to protect her brother. After getting hit multiple times, Sienna finally manages to grab the chain, and begins fighting against him. She beats him with it as she should, and finishes him off by impaling a rod through his head. But it appears that he is immortal. The clown rises again, and lunges at Sienna, strangling her. As the two scuffle, Jonathan notices a gun strapped to Art's leg and snags it. The boy then shoots Art, and once again killing him. Sienna passes out from the lack of air, so her brother shakes her to wake her up, but as she opens her eyes, she sees her mother telling her that she's safe now. This is when things get trippy. She hears Jonathan yell that it's not her mother she's speaking to, and it turns out to be the clown girl. When she snaps out of the vision, she finds herself alone in the room, and goes looking for Jonathan. She eventually finds her brother lying unconscious in front of Art, so she begins beating him. But he doesn't budge, and instead chokes her and knocks her to the ground. The next time she gets up, she sees some sort of a portal in front of her. But while she tries to assess it, Art comes up from behind her, and stabs her with her father's sword, before dropping her down the portal. This transports her to the water cell placed inside the clown cafe she dreamt about earlier in the movie, with a few people covered in blood happily goofing about in front of her without helping her. Trapped, she eventually drowns to death. Back in the surface, Art walks up to Jonathan and begins eating his flesh, which wakes him up. As he struggles to get away, he screams for Sienna's help, and conveniently, the sword which is lying nearby starts glowing somehow, resurrecting Sienna and magically healing her wounds. She exits the portal with ease and picks up the sword, using it to slay Art the clown. To finish him off, she uses it to decapitate him. Afterwards, she runs to her brother and the siblings wrap each other in a relieved embrace. Meanwhile, the little clown girl suddenly walks in the room to pick up Art's decapitated head and carries it away. In the movie's credit scene, we see Vicky, the sole survivor of the first movie, inside a mental hospital. Blood rushes between her legs, and she uses it to vandalize the wall. The words Vicky plus Art can be seen. As it turns out, she is in labor, and demonically gives birth to Art's head. A nurse walks in and screams in horror, while Vicky laughs like a maniac while cradling Art's head. Okay guys. That's all the recap of Terrifier 2 2022. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.